If you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn.
We are talking full-blown boycotts, political outrage, and NFL players throwing shade. But the twist at his press conference, no one predicted that. Between the joke, the cleanup, and the chaos, you want to know the wildest part. A guy can stand on the world's biggest stage, flash a smile, crack a wisecrack, and then months later, smooth it over in the sweetest way imaginable. Yet the internet will still manage to spin it into a total global catastrophe. That is the exact scenario with Bad Bunny, arguably the biggest streaming juggernaut on Earth, right before the Super Bowl 60 halftime spectacular. Let's rewind to day 1, September 28th, 2025. The NFL, Apple Music, and Roc Nation drop the big news. Bad Bunny is locked in to headline the Apple Music Super Bowl 60 halftime show on February 8, 2026, at Levi's Stadium out in Santa Clara. And listen, this was not just another press release. This was history in the making. Benito Antonio Martínez Ocasio was gearing up to be the first solo Latino act to run that stage, performing mostly in Spanish on American TV's biggest night. We are talking over 200 million eyeballs expected, and the main event is happening in a language that is not English. Folks had opinions the second the news broke, sure, but the real fireworks did not start popping until Benito got cheeky on Saturday Night Live. Cut to October 2025. He is hosting SNL for round 2, fresh off a massive 31-show residency in Puerto Rico. And during the monologue, he brings up the big game. He is speaking from the heart in Spanish, talking up Latino pride and how this win belongs to everyone who paved the way before him.
And if you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn.
Once that clip hit the web, fans were rushing to apps like Duolingo, and even Subway in New York City started running ads riffing on the whole situation. TikTok was flooded with videos about prepping for the Super Bowl, racking up millions of views. It was a real, wholesome cultural vibe. But fast forward 4 months, and suddenly we are just 3 days out from kickoff. On February 5th, 2026, Bad Bunny hits the podium for the pregame presser. Rocking a gray fur coat and that bunny-eared beanie, he tackled that SNL comment head-on. And what came out of his mouth was the furthest thing from an insult you could imagine.
Fun, and it's gonna be easy, and people only have to worry about dance. I know that I told them that they had 4 months to learn Spanish. They don't even have to learn Spanish. They just it's better if they learn to dance. But I think there's no better dance than the one that can come from the heart. The heartbeat dance. That's the only thing that they need to worry about and have fun and enjoy it.
Did you catch that no Spanish required? Just dance, vibe out, and have a good time. The guy literally retracted his own joke and swapped it for the most unifying message possible. Music is universal, and rhythm speaks every language. Just move your body and feel it. He was all about cultural celebration and the beat, not a linguistics exam. He teased bringing his heritage to the stage and promised the whole night would be one massive party. That is it. That is the so-called controversy. But the internet, the internet did not care about context. NFL news aggregator Dov Kleiman hopped on X and posted a clip from the conference with a caption that really stirred the pot. Oh boy, Bad Bunny said people had months to learn Spanish to enjoy his Super Bowl show. He has now changed his mind and says fans only need to know how to dance. Millions of NFL fans have stated they will not be watching the halftime show. That post went nuclear. Over 869,000 views, 5,900 likes, and 1,600 replies. Just like that. A sweet comment about dancing got twisted into Bad Bunny backpedaling under pressure, like he was forced to wave a white flag. The comment section turned into an absolute battlefield. You had people shouting stuff like, "I am not watching at all," or "halftime boycotts are for the weak." I am boycotting both the NFL and the NBA. Others went even harder, saying, "Boycott just halftime, screw that. I am skipping the entire Super Bowl." just fed up with the low-quality garbage they constantly serve us. Some were just straight-up dismissive, posting, "No idea who this singer is," treating one of the planet's biggest stars like he is some random guy off the street. But that claim about millions boycotting, it crumbled the second anyone actually looked at the numbers. One user clapped back with the receipts. As of today, the official count of people worldwide who swore they would not watch is 8,747. Meanwhile, well over 200 million are tuned in for Bad Bunny. Less than 9,000 versus 200 million. You do the math. That's not a boycott. That is just static. But somehow, some heavy hitters were amplifying that noise. Former President Donald Trump didn't mince words, calling the selection totally absurd and designed to tear people apart. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem actually threatened to send ICE agents to the stadium, while 1 million moms demanded everyone shut off their TVs. Turning Point USA scrambled to set up a rival concert starring Kid Rock, and petitions to swap out the headliner racked up over 100,000 signatures. Even Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson went on a tirade, basically asking, "Why couldn't we get some homegrown talent?" He claimed Puerto Rico isn't America, which is factually bust. Seeing as Puerto Rico has been it's rappin' here, territory for ages. One nameless NFC defender shrugged it off, saying, "I know the guy's tunes, but I don't speak the language, so I'm not exactly a fan." Tomi Lahren insisted he isn't an American artist, conveniently forgetting that 41 million people in the States speak Spanish every single day. Not everyone was buying the fake outrage, though. The comment section under Kleiman's post absolutely roasted the critics. One user pointed out, "The guy sells out stadiums globally, and the NFL is trying to take over the world. It's just business." Another laid it out cold. "Millions of casual viewers will tune in just for him," easily outnumbering the bigots tuning out. Even the big boss, Roger Goodell, held the line, championing diversity and making it crystal clear that the lineup was set in stone. A survey of the players themselves revealed that 58.6% were totally cool with the choice. The league stood its ground, and so did the superstar. Which brings us to the actual truth of what went down. A guy cracks a joke on a comedy sketch, clarifies it later with a grin, and basically tells the planet to just dance and vibe. Yet somehow, half the web hallucinated a scenario where he trashed the athletes and ordered the country to learn Spanish. It's the kind of headline that writes itself. But the reality was way less spicy than the rage baiters hoped. You have to look at the press conference to see the man behind the shades. See, if you only caught that 5-second viral snippet. You got played. The full briefing on February 5th, 2026, painted a totally different picture. And that narrative wasn't about linguistic battles or political chess moves or angry protests. It was about a kid from the island who was genuinely shocked by his own superstardom. When Bad Bunny stepped up to that mic, the atmosphere in the room practically crackled. And when a reporter asked how he was holding up just days before the biggest gig of his life, he gave an answer that was unfiltered and honest. "Straight up," he said, "to be honest, I'm not sure how I feel. It's overwhelming." He mentioned he's still mid-tour and literally just came from the Grammy Awards a week prior. Yeah. That's 3-time Grammy winner, Album of the Year winner, Bad Bunny to you. He explained that amidst all that chaos, he's been grinding non-stop on the set list for next Sunday. It's a heavy load, but mostly, he talked about gratitude, how that's been the dominant emotion all year, balancing the success with the pressure. Gratitude was the headline here. This wasn't a guy looking to start a firestorm. This was a human being trying to wrap his head around the fact that his whole journey culminated in this single instant. He was fresh off a historic night where his record, Debí Tirar Más Fotos, became the first ever Spanish-language album to snag Album of the Year. He was juggling a global tour and was now staring down the barrel of the most watched event in entertainment history. You could see the burden on him, but you could also feel his appreciation. When the topic turned to the album that got him there, he opened up about its deeper meaning. He insisted he wasn't hunting for trophies or halftime shows. He said his only goal was to reconnect with his heritage, his people, and his home. He kept it real, mentioning how he started with a local residency because he didn't even want to leave Puerto Rico, but fame came knocking regardless. He explained that the project reinforced a lesson he'd always known deep down. that you should carry your identity like a badge of honor, but never let it put a ceiling on your potential. He said, "That record taught me so much. I honestly think it's one of the most, if not the most, special project I've ever put together because it led me here, and I wasn't even chasing any of this. I know my roots, but I also know my reach. That right there, that is the authentic Bad Bunny, not the cartoon villain the blogs were pitching, not the bad guy the protesters were demonizing, just a guy looking for a vibe, not a fight." Then came the million-dollar question everyone was dying to know. Are there going to be any surprise cameos this Sunday? The reporters wouldn't let him off the hook, reminding him that he'd already graced the Super Bowl stage 6 years back during that iconic J-Lo and Shakira set at Super Bowl 54. It was a valid point, and his comeback was pure Bad Bunny magic. He sidestepped the question like a pro, claiming his only guests would be his family, his crew, and Latinos across the globe. He even threw in a flex about being top of the charts in China, implying he's got fans everywhere. The interviewer caught that non-denial. By the way, the whole room cracked up. But the real tearjerker happened when a little girl from Big Brothers Big Sisters grabbed the mic and asked who had his back before the fame hit. Bad Bunny didn't blink. He immediately brought up his mother. "The first one was definitely my mom, because you're asking about way back before I became all of this. She's the first person who pops into my head because she just believed, and I don't mean in my music. I'm talking about way before the career took off. She believed in me as a human being. She trusted my gut, my opinions, my taste, my choices. She just thought I had the potential to be a good guy. You know, smart, talented. I think that's why I'm here. Not because she thought I'd be a star, but because she knew I was a good person. That hits harder than anything else. She didn't bank on him being a musical legend. She banked on his character. And he said that meant the world to him. Then a kid from Gen Youth asked what his backup plan was if music hadn't worked out. He paused, getting a bit deep, and admitted this was the only dream he ever chased. But even without the fame, he knew he'd still be decent. Still writing, still creating, because it's just in his DNA. Then came the hilarious Smashburger confession when a kid from Play 60 asked about his health routine. He confessed he's been smashing burgers at 4 a.m., obsessing over the show, barely playing dominoes, which is driving him nuts, and losing his last 3 games. He apologized for the language and joked about needing a therapy session, leaving the room in stitches. And this is the guy the critics were trying to paint as some kind of monster. Even Adam Sandler, his co-star in Happy Gilmore 2, geeked out when asked about him, calling him a solid dude, an amazing performer, and mentioning how excited Bad Bunny was when they chatted earlier. That is the vibe Bad Bunny was bringing to Super Bowl Sunday. Not a villain, not a troublemaker, just a kid from Puerto Rico pinching himself that this is real life. The boy from Vega Baja who flipped the script. To really get why this controversy is about way more than a joke regarding Spanish lessons, you have to look at his roots. This isn't some flash-in-the-pan celebrity who stumbled into the spotlight and got caught in a culture clash. This story kicks off in a tiny Puerto Rican coastal town, winding through years of grinding, struggling, and doubting, only to land on the planet's biggest stage with half the nation cheering and the other half trying to pull the plug. Benito Antonio Martínez Ocasio entered the world on March 10, 1994, in Bayamon, and was raised in the Almirante Sur neighborhood of Vega Baja, a beach town about 30 miles west of San Juan. His upbringing was modest but full of joy. His dad, Tito, was a truck driver. His mom, Lizori, was a retired English teacher who made sure her son valued education. He also has 2 younger brothers, Bernie and Bizael. Music was just part of the furniture in their house. His folks blasted salsa and merengue from icons like Hector Lavoe and Juan Gabriel, while car rides hooked young Benito on the reggaeton legends, like Daddy Yankee, Vico C, and Tego Calderón. He was even a choir boy until he hit 13. After that, he started locking himself in his room, crafting beats and freestyling for hours. As for the name, it came from a throwback Easter picture where he was shoved into a bunny suit looking absolutely miserable. It was the perfect mix of innocence and attitude. The name just stuck. Here's the thing you need to grasp about Bad Bunny. Everyone sees the global icon. But strip away the fame, and he's still that local kid from Vega Baja. He broke it down on The Late Show, discussing the gap between the performer and Benito the man. He said, Benito and Bad Bunny have basically fused. That rawness, that refusal to fake it, is exactly why millions resonate with him. After finishing high school in 2012, he headed to the University of Puerto Rico at Arecibo for audiovisual communications. But even in class, his mind was elsewhere. He was bagging groceries at an Econo supermarket in Vega Baja and dropping his own tracks on SoundCloud. Come 2016, the single dials grabbed the ear of Puerto Rican hitmaker DJ Luian, and his whole world flipped in a heartbeat. He inked a deal with Hear This Music and charged forward without glancing back. The 2017 banger Soy Pior catapulted him to fame, followed by a feature on Cardi B's I Like It in 2018 that smashed its way to the top of the Billboard Hot 100. Then came the collaboration with Drake on Mia, which clawed its way to number 5, his debut studio effort. X100 Pre climbed to number 11 on the Billboard 200, and that was just the launchpad. The ascent was relentless. For 3 straight years, 2020 through 2022, he reigned supreme as the most streamed artist on the entire planet via Spotify. Then Un Verano Sin Ti dropped in 2022, making history as the first all-Spanish record to snag a Grammy nod for Album of the Year, dominating the number 1 spot for 13 weeks, and breaking every Spotify streaming record in the book. We are talking a colossal 45 billion plays on the platform, absolute titan status. He even pivoted to Hollywood, popping up in Bullet Train and Happy Gilmore too. Not to mention storming the ring at WrestleMania 37 back in 2021. Yet, one distinct trait separated him from almost every other crossover Latin star who came before. He flat out rejected singing in English, not one syllable. Whenever the topic comes up, he stands his ground with zero regrets. What really distinguishes your wave of Latin talent from the vibes of the 90s or early 2000s is your stubborn decision to keep performing in your native tongue. With your sound now touching millions of lives across the globe, do you worry that non-Spanish speakers are losing the essence, never truly catching the message you are sending? Oh, absolutely. No doubt. They miss plenty of the subtle stuff. Yeah. Truth is, even plenty of Spanish-speaking Latinos don't catch everything. Mostly because I am spitting strictly Puerto Rican street slang. You know, I recall, right after the peak of my career with Un Verano Sin Ti, I dropped Nadie Sabe Lo Que Va a Pasar Mañana, a project that was a complete left turn, packed with rhymes and metaphors specific to the island. And I guarantee folks missed the genius of it, for sure. Does that bother you? Do you feel the urge to break it down for them? Or are you just indifferent? I will keep it real. If the moment ever comes where I feel I need English to express myself, I will use it. But also, I do not pen lyrics in English. It is just not what I do. Full stop. That authentic vibe is precisely what he carried onto the Super Bowl field. Staying true to his Puerto Rican roots on America's grandest platform sparked hope in millions while making others boil with rage. Listening to him describe the sensation of playing a home game in Puerto Rico, you really sense the depth of his connection to the island. Yet, with Bad Bunny, it has never been solely about the tracks. Advocacy is stitched into his very DNA. Back in July 2019, he actually paused his European run to jet home, joining the enormous crowds, calling for Governor Ricardo Rosello's head after those leaked chats mocked Hurricane Maria survivors. He stood shoulder to shoulder in the streets with icons like Residente and Ricky Martin. Less than 2 weeks later, Rosello stepped down. Fast forward to 2020 on The Tonight Show. He rocked a skirt and a tee, proclaiming, "They killed Alexa." Not a man in a skirt, paying tribute to the slain trans woman Alexa Negron Luciano and challenging the island's severe transphobia. From the gender-bending wardrobe to the manicures and gowns, he is fearless. Locking lips with a male backup dancer at the 2022 VMAs even snagged him the Vanguard Award from GLAAD in 2023 for his LGBTQ+ support. In Yo Perreo Sola, he performed in full drag, championing a woman's right to dance solo without being pestered. Then El Apagón in 2022 shone a light on the island's endless power outages, the gentrification driven by stateside money, and locals getting pushed out. Come 2025, He uploaded footage of ICE raids back home, publicly blasting the agents and even scrapping U.S. tour dates to protect his undocumented fans from being targeted. However, it has not all been praise. He has caught plenty of flack from his own people, too. Early on, his bars drew fire for being misogynistic and objectifying, slotting right into reggaeton's old-school machismo. Detractors noted that projects like Nadie Sabe Lo Que Va, A Pasar Mañana had just one female guest, used in a way that some argued put other women down. His romance with Kendall Jenner definitely turned some heads, especially considering the history of cultural appropriation attached to her family name. During the 2023 Grammys, his Spanish set was captioned merely as singing in non-English, a move he correctly slammed as insulting to Latinos and the deaf community alike. In December 2025, Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology chewed him out for handling an ancient artifact in a snap he quickly scrubbed from Instagram. Certain scholars even throw around the term purple washing, claiming he uses feminist rhetoric to hide the sexism still haunting his discography. The man is complex. He is complicated. He is human. But the one thing he isn't is the villain those sensational Super Bowl headlines tried to manufacture. He never trashed the NFL players. He never demanded a Spanish lesson from a single soul. The guy cracked a joke on a comedy sketch. Then he stood up at a presser and spoke about rhythm, pure joy, and the pulse of the people. But the outrage machine, that beast starving for division and clicks, twisted his words into a weapon they were never meant to be. And let's be real here. History has already spoiled the ending of this movie for us. Janet Jackson's 2004 wardrobe malfunction brought fines and years of career sabotage. Beyoncé's 2016 Formation set sparked boycotts over alleged political statements. MIA got hit with a $16.6 million lawsuit just for flipping the bird during Madonna's 2012 show. Maroon 5 faced a firing squad in 2019 regarding the league's handling of Colin Kaepernick. Every single time, critics swore up and down they would tune out. And every single time, those boycotts barely left a scratch on the ratings. When Super Bowl Sunday hits, over 200 million people are going to be glued to that screen. Most of them will be moving to reggaeton beats without needing a translator because, at the end of the day, that is the honest truth. Bad Bunny was trying to tell us all along, you do not need to speak the language to feel the music. You just need a heartbeat.